So today was the first of 2 days with a few lucky challenge students trading live in person. That's why my commentary was a little less. I was a little busy with roughly a dozen students, and we went over a whole bunch of Q&A, and it was good for them. It was good for me, but I realized that a lot of you guys just don't trade with a plan. You're trying to follow alerts. You're trying to find what is a good stock, what is a bad stock. And that is not necessarily what's going to make you successful in trading. So here's a little 7-step plan I just put together off the top of my head. Use it every single trade. Write it down if you have to. So number one, I want to find a volatile stock. There's thousands of stocks with good stories. They have low volume. They don't move. And those are stocks you should ignore. Really trade volatile stocks that are in play and that have volume. At least 100 or even better 200,000 shares. I'm guilty of falling in love with some of these stories a little too much, like RESN, VOXX, LQMT. I need to be focused more on step number one, but that's my bad. It's okay to make mistakes too. Even after trading 15 years, I still make mistakes. I can do better. Number two, determine if the pattern/catalyst means it should go up big or down big. This I like to keep very, very simple. So if you saw today, I'm shorting two blatant pumps, IFAN and NMED. Both of them have been promoted with mailers. Both of them have been pumped up by penny stock promoters. Both of them will crash and burn. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We got a nice morning panic on IFAN. I didn't take all my profits, but I took, decent, roughly 7% profits. NMED, I'm looking for a nice morning panic tomorrow. If not the next day, we'll see. Those are patterns that I think are going to go down versus stocks like I was watching MZOR, which won a contract to sell some more of their robotic surgical systems that ran up. That's good news. Companies that report good earnings like MAGS when it spiked from 5 to 6 the other day. That's good news. I like to keep it very simple. Buy earnings winners, buy contract winners when they take out the day high, break out ideally above it, or sometimes even dip by it like I did with MAGS actually more successfully. Understand number three, most trade setups are non-tradable due to risk and uncertainty. There's an example today, what was it, CTIX I believe, and it broke 470 and my students and I were watching it break 470, but it barely broke it. It went to like 478. And after that, it dropped to 450s. So it was a fake out breakout. It was actually a better short, but I don't like trying to short the exact tops of a non-true blatant pump like IFAN. Normally, I don't even try and pick tops. It's very scary, as those people who have been shorting ECRY the past few days have learned. So most trade setups are non-tradable. ECRY, I did not trade it today because it is a pump that is going higher. I don't know how much higher it'll go. I see emails, ridiculous emails, every few minutes and every few hours, but eventually it's going to crash. So I'm conflicted right now. Probably later this week it'll be a good short, if not definitely early next week. Number four, if a setup is worthy, determine the risk versus reward. This is so important. Part of the reason why I did not trade ECRY today is because it was trading between like 52 and like 57. Maybe it even got up to 59. I think it closed at 55. At best, you're going to make like 5 cents a share. And if you're wrong, you're going to lose 3 or 4 cents a share, even if you cut losses quickly because it drops so quickly. So that's not good risk reward. Number five, ideally there is 3 or 4 to 1 times the amount of reward versus risk. If I'm going to buy a stock where I might lose 3 or 4 cents a share, I better be able to make at least 10 or 15 or even 20 cents a share to really make it worth my time. And if you can't get out of a stock, if you're buying a pump that can literally crash 5 or even 10 cents a share within a few minutes, you had better watch it like a hawk, and there better be significant upside. Otherwise, it's not worth the risk. That's why you see a lot of stocks like, META, I don't know, one of these latest pumps. I wasn't even considering buying it at 6 cents. It went up to like 7.5, 8 cents because there's a penny or two of upside and there's a penny or two of downside, and that's not good risk to reward. That's 1 to 1 for me. If you're like Michael Good, he's quick. He was out. I think he made like 2/10 or 3/10 of a penny, and he didn't risk much because he's so good and so quick. I'm not that quick, and neither of you. You have to understand your weaknesses, and I am not optimized to trade quick. Michael Good is a freak of nature, as evidenced by his facial hair, which scares kids for Halloween, and he doesn't have to dress up at all. Number 6, stick to the risk-reward ratio. Don't let losses get out of control. This is a big, big thing. If you say, okay, there's, 50 cents a share of upside and only 10 or 15 cents a share of downside, okay, that means that there's more than 3-to-1 risk to reward, so that's a good setup. But the problem is you have to stick to those loss cutting rules. If you say there's only 10 or 15 cents a share of losses potentially, and you let it drop 20 or 30 cents a share, you're not paying attention to the rules. And now your risk reward is totally off because you have not controlled the risk. You have not controlled the losses. Understand that every single trade could go against you. No matter what you think, no matter how much research you do, no matter how right you inevitably turn out to be, the stocks can go against you. Shit happens. So you need to protect yourself. I know there's a debate between cutting losses quickly, like I do, or cutting losses intelligently, like Tim Grittani does. For those of you who are beginning, don't try and cut losses intelligently. You're a little baby at trading. You are not intelligent yet, okay? I'm sorry to break the bad news to you, but you need to really practice focus, cutting losses quickly, cutting them even before you probably have to. Just cut them. Start to lose. Get used to it. And lose small, because small losses are okay as long as you stay in the game. The number one problem that people have is they bet too big, they let their losses run too much, and then they're not in the game anymore, they're not confident anymore, and that sucks. So focus on safety, priority number one, especially you beginners. If you've been trading 5, 10, 15 years, you can free the reins a little bit, because then you can start to say, okay, I'm a little more intelligent. Or if you're like Tim Grittani with nipples of steel and you learn everything within 2 or 3 years, then you can learn to cut losses intelligently too. But for the most of you, you're babies at trading. Accept it. It's not a put down. I'm trying to protect the baby. I don't want the burdened baby, okay? I don't want you drinking steaming hot water and burning your tongue and being like, ow, that hurts. I'm trying to warn you ahead of time before you get yourself badly burned. Number 7, profit more often than you lose, and your dollar profits should be bigger than your dollar losses. This is the secret to Tim Grittani, my success, Azam John, Mark Crook, Eric Wood, Michael Good, Nate, Superman, all of us. We all profit more often than we lose, anywhere from 55 to 60% of the time, sometimes 65, or even 70 or 75% of the time. Anywhere between 55 and 75% of the time, we win more than we lose. We are not allowed into casinos because we would make the casinos lose a lot of money. Casinos make money because more people lose more often than they win at casinos. That's why casinos are profitable. Also, our dollar profits are bigger than our dollar losses. This goes back to number 6. If you don't let losses get out of control, your losses will be small. And if you stick to good setups, namely shorting pump and dumps, and you stick to the indicators, shorting on like the first red day or when there's fading volume, sometimes you're going to make 20, 30, or even 40 or 50% on your short. Your dollar profits on those gains are going to be substantial. Sometimes you'll only make 7% like I did on IFAN today. But if you profit more than your dollar losses, and let's say you cut your losses at 2% or 5% or 8%, you're going to win more often than you lose, and your profits are going to be more than your losses. It is so difficult, if you follow that, to lose money and not grow your account substantially and exponentially. I got to give a shout out to Ivan also, who focuses solely on shorting pumps, and he just passed $100,000 in profits. Fantastic job. If you look at his trades, Profitly, his username is Stock Realist. And you'll see that he wins more often than he loses, and his dollar profits are bigger than his losses. That is the secret to great wealth. I know it's very simple, but it's, deceptively simple. You have to stick to these rules, or else the rules aren't going to work for you. If you let losses get out of control, if you trade setups that don't have great risk reward, you're going to lose. And then you're going to be like the majority of traders, and I don't want that. I want you being better than the average. I want you beating the odds. And to beat the odds and to beat the industry, you have to stick by these rules. I know they're not fun. I know it's frustrating when I'm in a stock and then out of a stock, in a few hours or sometimes even like within 20 or 30 minutes. But I stick by these rules because I want to teach you by example. So learn these rules. You Trading Challenge students, get excited for tomorrow. I'm excited to teach you in person, everybody else. We got a lot of plays. I'm going to do a big ass watch list later. Thank you.